Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and we're going to take a step back and look at our system now and really analyze what happened within our system and what happened within our data that allows us to look at claim 3 and say, you know what, this doesn't make sense. This claim about um, only living things having energy is not supported by our observations and our evidence. And then we're going to take a look at kind of what in our simulator points to that conclusion. So let's go ahead and take a look at our simulator real quick. So this was our original simulator. And if you notice that when we run our simulator, a few things pop up at the very top. These are our labels that describe kind of how energy is interacting within the system, and not only how energy is interacting within the system, but what interactions occur at the different parts of our system. Now I'm going to go ahead and click the transfer button, and you'll notice again another new label pops up on top, kind of allowing us to understand kind of how did energy start within the system and interact as it went all the way through the system. Now, from here, you'll notice we have our analyze button flashing, and let's take a look at our data. So scientists use graphs to visually represent data, or kind of what's going on with the data, in this case, in our simulation. And if you notice, our data here came from the system running. So let's go ahead and rewind all the way to the beginning. And as we watch the system interact, watch what's happening in the graphs. So you'll notice as the system runs and as different things are occurring up here, different things are occurring down here until we get to the very end. So let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. To about there. So, notice that this very first graph at the very beginning represents the energy that's being transferred into the system from the fuel. So as we play this, the energy is coming in through the fuel and traveling through the system. And if you notice, 100% of the energy that was transferred from the fuel was transferred into the system. Now let's take a look at the second graph. The second graph represents something else within the system. So I'm going to rewind it a little bit. Let's see if we can kind of figure out what's going on with that second graph. So as we play, the energy is being transferred in, but this is starting to go up. Now we know we have the engine running and we know we have the generator running, but what energy in the system is being graphed here? So if you notice, as this graph goes up, the fuel goes down. Okay, so this is obviously representing the energy within the fuel that is being transferred into the system, and as it's transferred, it's being used. But there's energy in another part of our system that's being calculated. So let's take a look. So as this bar goes up, notice the battery is starting to go up as well. And not only that, but if we rewind here and play, notice the transfer button starts here. We have our energy in the system at 44. And the moment that button gets played, 45, now it starts to go down as that energy is transferred into the light. So think to yourself, where is the energy from the beginning of the system to the end of the system? And how is that energy interacting from start to finish? Okay. If we look at this, we can recognize that that third claim about only living things have energy doesn't make sense, because we can observe that energy is being transferred in our graph here from the fuel into the system. The energy is then changing as it gets to the battery, and new energy is forming within the battery. And then energy is being transferred out as the three things, light, thermal, and sound, from the beginning to the end of the system. So we know that we have energy within the system. We know that claim 3, living objects have only living object has energy, doesn't make sense. And that connecting most important piece shows that as energy is transferred in and out of the system, that these non-living things have energy. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a step back. You've now seen us kind of analyze the data, analyze the system. And now you're going to analyze one of the two claims here. Okay, objects can make their own energy, objects get energy from other objects that have energy. So your job is to pick one of these claims that you want to investigate and then plan out in question two how are you going to use your system and your data to investigate. If you have questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, good luck.